What would you do if someone forced you to choose which of your children would live and which one would die with it? This isn't some abstract question or a riddle to solve. It isn't pulled from a nightmare that evaporates with the morning sun. For Adaeze, this was reality. She faced that choice. And what happened after? Well, it shook her entire village in ways nobody could have seen coming. Before we go any further, I want to ask you something else. Do you think love survives betrayal? Do you believe the truth, no matter how long you bury it, always finds its way back up? By the end of Adaeze's story, you'll have your answer. It may not be the one you want. So, do me a favor. Settle in. Don't look away. This story will reach inside you and pull out things you didn't even know were hiding. There's a place between the Great River and the Red Hills where the baobab trees stand so old they've seen grandfathers' grandfathers born and buried. It's called Ugwoba, a name that means the mountain that does not move. And for generations, people believed nothing could shake that village. Not family bonds, not the laws of ancestors, not the sacred trust between a mother and her children. They were wrong. Adaeze didn't grow up suffering. Her life started with laughter and warmth. She had a husband, Chukwuemeka. He was tall, gentle, a man who'd coax food from stubborn earth with nothing but his bare hands and patience. Together, they built their home brick by brick and song by song. When her twins came, a boy and a girl, Adaeze cried, not from pain, but from a joy so big it felt like the sky had spilled right into her arms. She named her son Obi, meaning hot. She called her daughter Neka, mother is supreme. For 7 years, those children were everything. Obi was the quiet one, thoughtful and always watching, like he could see futures the rest of us missed. Nneka burned bright, loud, laughing, forever running, always singing, asking questions that stumped even the oldest elders. They were as different as Harmattan and rain, but they were twins, tied together by something deeper than blood. And then Chukwuemeka was gone. Pay attention here. This is where it changes. Chukwuemeka didn't die from sickness. He died because he stood up at the village council and said what everyone whispered, that Chief Olumba was bleeding the farmers dry, that children were going hungry to fatten the chief's compound. And Olumba, a man who'd never been told no in 60 decades, didn't take it lightly. Within 3 months, Chukwuemeka was dead. Snake bite, they said, but everyone knew what kind of snake. One that speaks, not one that slithers. Adaeze knew. The whole village knew, and nobody said anything. Fear is a strange power. It can smother a village into silence, turn witnesses into strangers, neighbors into shadows. So, Adaeze buried her husband, wrapped herself in mourning, and after a week, stood up before sunrise to begin life again as a widow with 2 children in a world that had already decided to look the other way. She sold palm oil, she wove baskets, she carried heavy loads for other farmers, work that would make smaller men buckle. She never complained, never begged, always forward the way her mother taught her. A woman doesn't lean on what's already broken. But Chief Olumba was watching. He'd noticed Adaeze before, not out of respect, just that cold hunger men like him have for things they think belong to him. Now her husband was gone, nothing stood between him and anything he wanted. So 6 months after Chukwuemeka's burial, he sent a messenger to her door. Come to the chief's compound. Become his 4th wife. Not a request, a demand. Adaeze refused. Every elder she spoke to, every woman old enough to know better, warned her in their own ways through tense looks if not words. You don't say no to Chief Olumba. But Adaeze had loved a man who died for telling the truth. She wouldn't dishonor his memory by bowing to the man who took him. So, the battle began. Chief Olumba waited. He watched. He closed off her path to the market, made sure the best farm plots never came her way, turned the council against her every time she needed help. Like a river wears down a rock, his patience wasn't gentle, it was relentless. Then the rains failed. Worst drought in 40 years. The river shriveled, cassava withered on the ground, animals circled searching for water, children cried themselves to sleep, hungry. The whole village felt it. Adaeze was left with nothing. She'd sold it all. The last grains of food were gone, and her children, Obi and Neka, were so skinny it hurt just to look at them. That's when Chifolomba came again. This time, he didn't send a messenger. He strolled into her small home with 3 men and settled into her only chair like it was already his. He stared at her children, then Adaeze. "Your husband was a fool," he said. "Don't follow him to the grave. I'm offering you a place in my house, food for your kids. Or," he waited, letting the words land, "or you give me one of the children for your husband's debt. The land he farmed still owes 2 seasons tribute. You can't pay. 1 child works for me until the debt is cleared. Which one? Decide by morning." Then he got up and left. The door swinging shut sounded like a coffin lid. Really feel that for a second. Not as a story. Imagine it. You, 2 sleeping kids, and a choice that has no right answer, only pain. Who do you send? The loud one, always visible, who might suffer most, or the quiet one, who blends into silence? Adaeze didn't sleep. She prayed. To her ancestors, to her dead husband, down on the cold floor, tears swallowed before they ever became sound. And as the sky turned from black to blue, she decided. She chose Neka. She chose her daughter to stay, to be taken as a servant for the chief. She wrapped Obi in the last good cloth, packed what little food they had, and right before dawn, she walked him to a distant cousin, Uju, 3 villages away. "Take him," she begged. "Raise him. Don't tell anyone who he is. Tell him his mother loved him." She broke down before she could finish. Uju understood what it meant to run from a powerful man. She took the boy and closed the door. Adaeze went home, wiped her face, tied her wrapper tight, and when the chief's men came at sunrise, she handed Neka, her wild child, her fire, with a steady face, at least steady where anyone could see. Obi was hidden. Neka was left to suffer in the open. Every day for 10 years, Adaeze told herself she did what was right, that Neka was the survivor, Obi the broken one. Neka would endure, Obi would have broken. But what nobody says about survival is how much of yourself you have to leave behind just to do it. Neka was 23 when Chifolomba let her go. Not from kindness, but because he was dying and his sons had no interest in a servant girl, even one as clever as her. One of the chief's younger wives had taught her to read in secret, and Neka had used that to collect tiny fragments of power, documents, names, records, secrets tucked away over the years. With nothing but a bundle on her head and a head full of memories, she returned to her mother. Adaeze had aged, worn thin, not broken, not yet, just frayed. When she saw Neka standing in the doorway, she crumpled. Neka caught her, just held her, and for a long time words failed both of them. Eventually, Adaeze spoke. She told Neka the whole story, the night she made the impossible choice, the logic of fear in a desperate mother's mind, her certainty that Neka could survive, her hope that Obi would be safest if hidden. She told her about the empty grave, the cousin, the village 3 hills away. She told her Obi was alive. Keep watching. Part 2 is coming. And thank you for being here.